tayo nag-join. Chris! Chris! Kabila.
Tayong dalawa.
Okay. Sige. Alright.
Sir, may mga taga-Davao daw.
Asawang taga-Davao din.
Basta nyo kayo, sir. Nalibre dyan, sir.
Wala kang taga-Cotabato na.
Kapalitan mo. Dami nyo ah. Yan. Sobre yan.
Ang ganda lang na ano natin ha. Ito ba yung ating drug ballroom?
Not 10.
Ben Music. Live po tayo sa Facebook, ha?
Yes. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. We're very glad to see you here na hindi kayo na-discourage ng lamig at ng snow. So we'd like to welcome everyone. And I'd also like to welcome our the last special guest for last. But I'd like to welcome our other special guests who are here. Si General De Lorenzana, ang ating Secretary of National Defense. Kasama rin po natin si Mrs. Cecil Yasay ho. Saka si Tita Edith Lorenzana. And then we have si Undersecretary Ricky Manalo, Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs. Sa tabi niya ho ay ang ating Assistant Secretary for European Affairs. Ganda no, sabi mo. Sabi na eh. Tapos ang isang mas maganda sa kanya, katabi niya, si Assistant Secretary Raymond Kilop ng National Defense. Tapos si General Duco, nandiyan si Director Dina Amatong, nandiyan. Siya yung officer sa DFA na in charge ng Russia. So lahat ng mga report namin, lahat ng mga siya yung nagsasabi good or bad. Tapos dun sa dulo, special assistant ni Secretary Yasay, si Susan Mangiola. Then over here, Lieutenant Colonel Romero, and from DND, also Mrs. Romero. Yung mga major, wala sila, si Captain. Ayun, nagtatrabaho. Si Major Mabusa, and then si Captain Custodio. Ayun, si Captain. So, dito sila lahat. We're very happy to have them all, and especially, of course, our special guest to welcome here. And it's my great pleasure to introduce him. He is a man, he's a statesman who's served the public very well wherever he's been, whether he's in the Philippines or in the United States. He's served Filipinos. So he's no stranger to helping Filipinos overseas. As a lawyer in the United States, he exerted every effort to give legal advice dun po sa mga kababayan natin sa Amerika na nagkakaproblema. Nag-publish siya ng mga artikulo tungkol sa mga issues na nagko-concern sa ating mga Pilipino doon. Siya rin ay nagkaroon ng radio talk show kung saan pwedeng magtanong ang mga Pilipino. Siya rin ay nagbigay din ng humawak ng mga kaso tungkol sa immigration, yung mga Pilipino natin doon na medyo nagkakaroon ng problema sa batas o sa mga otoridad. At siya ay na-recognize dahil sa madami niyang natulungan kung nandun siya sa Estados Unidos. Ang ibig din sabihin niya, bihasa siya sa hindi lang sa batas Pilipinas, kundi sa batas ng ibang bansa. And he is also no stranger to dealing with interstate commerce dahil siya po ay naging commissioner sa Securities and Exchange Commission. So alam na alam niya ho ang palakaran kung paano mag-regulate ng foreign investors kung na magse-set up ng business sa Pilipinas. Ang kanyang interest po sa foreign affairs ay nag-umpisa sa napakabatang edad. Siya ay kahit nung estudyante pa lang siya ay nag-a-attend siya ng mga meeting, workshop, seminar tungkol sa mga napaka-importante mga issues tulad ng peace and development, migration, at ito ay mga meeting sa iba't ibang bansa sa Amerika, South America, sa Europe, Africa at Asia. Siya ay nabigyan din ng, dahil siya isang magaling na public servant, nabigyan din siya ng award na recognize siya na one of the top 50 leaders in Asia. At dahil dyan ay dalubhasa siya sa batas, siya ay actually nagtuturo sa one of the top 100 law schools in the United States, yung Richardson School of Law sa Hawaii. Siya ay nagtuturo ng batas doon. Yung law school na yan, nag-specialize sa Asian American affairs, sa mga indigenous rights, sa mga karapatan pantao. Madami pa akong maaaring masabi. Of course, kailangan ko sabihin na nung bata siya, he established the historical president. Siya yung pinakabatang nabotong vice president ng World Alliance ng Young Men's Christian Association sa London at the very young age of 23. At siya po ay, tulad sinabi ko, ay abogado. Siya ay graduate ng UP College of Law ng University of the Philippines. Sabi ni Consul Jeff, magaling daw na eskwela yan. So, it's my great pleasure to have with you here together with the delegation, si Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Perfecto R. Yasay Jr.
Ay, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, magandang gabi sa inyong tanan. Kurog-kurog pa yung taon ko. Salamat King, salamat Ambassador sa iyong napaka-generous remarks. Mas marami pang alam ito kaysa akin eh. Ewan ko kung saan niya nakuha yung mga sinasabi niya tungkol sa akin. Napakatagal na noon at nakakalimutan ko na. But anyway, ako'y nagpapasalamat na nandito kami. Kasama ko yung ating Defense Secretary na taga Mindanao rin. Talagang masipag at naging defense attaché natin sa Washington, D.C. And I understand from him na he has been assigned in that very difficult and important job for 14 winters, right? So, sanay na rin ito sa lamig dito sa Moscow, although this is also his first time to be here. Alam mo, I just would like to tell you kung ano ang dahilan na nandito kami ngayon sa Moscow. Alam niyo naman po ay nagkaroon ng imbitasyon yung ating minamahal na Pangulo na si President Rodrigo Roa Duterte na pumunta rito. Dahil medyo malamig pa ngayon ay pinauna na kami niya ni Secretary Sara. Alam niyo si President Vladimir Putin ay gusto niyang matiyak at gusto rin ng ating Pangulong matiyak na pagdating niya rito, hopefully by April or late March of next year, ay makakaroon talaga tayo ng very successful visit. Makakaroon tayo ng mga agreements na magtitiyak na yung ating relasyon with Russia, especially in the area of trade and investments, commerce, cultural exchanges, security cooperation, and the like, will be realized and will really be pursued. Hindi ito seremonya lamang ng pagdadalaw ng ating Pangulo dito sa Russia. He wants it to be something more substantive. But I got specific instructions from him bago ako pumunta rito na alam niya na talagang sinuporta niyo siya at kaya nanalo siya bilang Pangulo ng Pilipinas. So he wanted me to extend to you his great thanks and felicitations na kung hindi din dahil sa inyo, we would not have him as President of our country. Ang utos siya rin sa akin huwag daw magdaldal ng gusto gusto niya na makikinig ako sa inyo. Kaya ay talagang ang mahalaga ngayong gabi ay more than my talking to you, I would like to hear from you through your questions and how the problems or special needs that you might be encountering, and we would hope na yung ating pamahalaan ay talagang handang-handang tumulong sa inyo. Alam nyo naman na kaumpisa pa lamang ng pag-upo ng ating Pangulo, he announced immediately that we will have to realign our foreign policy. Alam nyo yung ating foreign policy in the past, while the Constitution mandates that we should have an independent foreign policy, we were not really able to carry that out for one reason or another. Ang ibig sabihin ng independent foreign policy ay mangunguna sa lahat ng ating relasyon with all countries, and our Constitution mandates na we should make friends with all nations. But in pursuing this friendship ay mangunguna yung tinatawag nating national interest ng ating bansa. In the same way na lahat ng mga bansa ay in the relationship with other nations as well, ang nangunguna din yung kanilang national interest. Kaya kung nagkakaroon tayo ng conflict between the national interest of one nation, let's say America and the Philippines, we will always make sure na yung ating national interest ay mangunguna. Pero hindi ibig sabihin niya na mag-aaway tayo dahil we are pursuing our national interest first and foremost. It only means that even as we would differ in the pursuit of this respective national interest, we will continue to deal with each other in mutual respect and as sovereign equal in the community of nations. It also means na in our relationship ng mga iba't ibang bansa, nagkakaroon din tayo ng mutuality of interest, nagko-converge yung interest natin. Hindi lamang nagko-conflict, very rare pa nga yung conflict, but in most instances, we have a convergence of this national interest. And it is in this respect na sinasabi natin that we will pursue it to the hilt so that the countries that we will be dealing with will mutually benefit in the pursuit of this convergence of our interest. Now, in the past, nakakaroon tayo ng bias in our relationship. In fact, our relationship has always been predicated on dependency, militarily, economically. Siguro, at one time in our history that was necessary, especially as we were just evolving as a new country. Especially at the time, there were very special threats that necessitated for us to get into military alliances and even economic dependency. We could not at that point still stand on our own feet. But then, that dependency was carried on in a manner that through the years, hanggang ngayon, dependent pa rin tayo. Sinasabi ko nila, nagkakaroon tayo ng military alliance with the United States, but the purpose of that military alliance was so that we would be able to to stand on our feet, to be able to address both internal and external security threats to the country. And the relationship with the United States was supposed to help us and enable us to incapacitate, to render us capable of precisely addressing effectively these threats. But as it is now, the conditions of our military and our ability to defend ourselves and stand on our feet is far from desired. It is because sinasabi natin na kasalanan din natin ito. Hindi ito kasalanan ng Amerika in many respects. Sinasabi natin, well, nandiyan naman ang Amerika. Why should we really address our military needs? Kung na lang sila. So, it was this kind of dependency that maybe was a carryover also from our colonial pasts. Yung economic dependency naman natin is that we relied heavily on only a few countries, principally the United States, and we forgot that in economic relationships, you cannot just rely on one country. We are all interdependent with each other. When we say interdependent, kagaya may mga pera, we need the capital, we need their investments, we want these investments to come into our country. Tayo naman, we may not have the capital, but we're very rich in natural resources, and we would like also for our natural resources to be able to reach to these countries that would need them on a fair and equal manner. Pero nangyayari, we were very lopsided, we forgot our relationships with other countries. But under the Duterte administration, nakikita natin that this will change. Yung prinumiyasa ng ating Pangulo ng pagbabago in many aspects of our activities, and especially in our relationships with other nations, he also promised this kind of a change. So now makikita mo, we're not only reaching out to countries like China or even Russia, but to other countries as well. What we are trying to pursue with these countries would be to make sure that our economic, investment, and trade relationship, people-to-people contact, cultural exchanges, even security arrangement and defense cooperations will be pursued. It does not mean that while we are strengthening our relationship with countries like China, the EU, Russia, that we will be weakening our relationship with the United States. No, more importantly, we would want this relationship to grow stronger. And we are assuring all our friends, our traditional partners, that as we carry out this independent foreign policy in the pursuit of our paramount national interest, we want to be friends with everybody. We want to make sure that this friendship will grow stronger. And as it goes stronger, it will be for the mutual benefit of everyone. So, ngayon, naiintindihan din ng ating Pangulo na no matter how we would carry out an independent foreign policy, no matter how we would wish that we will always pursue the paramount national interest and make friends with everybody, the predicate of this is that gusto niyang magiging maunlad ang ating bansa. In the past, yung pag-uunlad ng ating bansa has been concentrated to a very few people. Even up to today, nakikita mo, there is still a widening gap between the rich and the poor sa ating bansa. We would like to bridge that gap, and we would like to make sure that kayaman na at yung may mga kapital na, yung mga elite na grupo sa ating Pilipinas na sila lamang makikinabang. We do not want to leave anybody behind. We would like everyone to benefit from our economic advancement as well. Kaya galing namin sa APEC at dito natin nakikita, dito pinahayag ng ating Pangulo na while he supports forging stronger economic ties for the benefit of big business in the Philippines, he wants also to focus on micro, small, and medium enterprises. Gusto niya na tayong lahat, no matter how small, will always have the opportunity to be wealth creators. We will not only democratize the ownership of wealth in our country, but we will also democratize the opportunity to create wealth for the benefit of our people. Now, itong ating plano para maging maunlad economically, hindi rin natin ma-achieve yan, no matter how good, no matter how strong and good are our plans, if the core problems that we are experiencing today will not be addressed. And what are these core problems that have been neglected in the past? You have, number one, corruption. Number two, the growing influence at an alarming rate of the illegal drugs that has really destroyed our communities, broken up our families, and even snuffed out the future of our young people. Kaya ito ang ginagawa ng ating Pangulo. He wants to make sure that the fight against drugs will be won. Everybody has neglected that in the past administration, puro lip service na sinasabi, we will fight drugs, we will fight drugs. Even in the international community, even the United Nations, they say, oh, we will fight drugs. But have you seen the reduction of the illegal drugs that has affected our country? We have now, sinasabi nila last year or 2 years ago, 3 million addicts. We now have about 4 million addicts in the country. Now these addicts, given the reality of the situation, sinasabi na ating Pangulo, every day they would need at least 200 pesos to sustain the habit of taking in illegal drugs. Yung 200 pesos, i-multiply mo by 4 million in 1 month will amount to a big amount of pesos. And then you extrapolate that further in 1 year, according to the estimates given, we will be spending something like 218 billion pesos in 1 year, uselessly. Money that we cannot afford, money that our families and our children cannot afford. That's why nakikita natin the drug menace in our country has really affected our society as a whole. Maraming mga barangay captains who are involved, mga governmental leaders who are involved, mga police generals are involved. Napakarami. But you will see that for the first 3 months of the efforts that was started by our President, it has been very, very successful. Ilan na yung nag-surrender ng mga drug addict and wants to be rehabilitated? 700,000. Never in the history. In that period of 3 months, you have these people coming out, voluntarily saying, we want out. We want to leave this cycle of dependency on drugs and addiction. We want to be rehabilitated. Kaya ngayon, only the other day, na-inaugurate ng ating Pangulo yung isang napakalaking complex in Nueva Ecija, in one of our military camps in Nueva Ecija, that can sustain the rehabilitation of about 10,000, of 10,000, no, 60,000, 10,000 addicts. But we need more of these rehabilitation centers. But you can see, marami na rin mga those involved in as pushers have also surrendered. Of course, the president had to declare this war against illegal drugs. He did not merely say that I will fight illegal drugs. He says, I am going to declare this all-out war against illegal drugs because he knows na yung mga drug lords, mga drug dealers, they will not hesitate to destroy and eliminate all those who would come in their way that would prevent them from pursuing their very lucrative trade. And you have to be tough on them. You have to talk tough. And when you talk tough, you have to carry out what you're trying to say by actions and by deeds. And the president has been very successful. Of course, marami nagsasabi, nagbabiolate daw siya ng human rights. Ay, wala akong basihan yan. Those who are saying that he has violated the human rights and has even encouraged extrajudicial killings in the country, these are all unfounded. These are all statements coming from critics and opposition that have no basis, in fact. Of course, his toughness in talking is something that he has to do to scare these drug lords, to make sure that when he says, you destroy my country, you destroy the young people, you will kill our young people, I will kill you. But you do not take this literally, that talagang papatayin niya yan. No, he meant it in the context because we are sincere, we are dedicated, law enforcement will really not hesitate to fight you in the war against this criminal activity. You kill our people, you will bear the consequences because we will not hesitate to destroy and eliminate you as well. But even as we say this, I'd like to assure all of you, the president as a lawyer and all of the members of his law enforcement people, our police agencies, the leadership there, we are all committed to protect and uphold the human rights of our people. There is no room for extrajudicial killings in our country, in our society. And the president is very firm on this. Yung mga engagements, rules of engagement niya, sinasabi sa police, make sure that when you are confronted with these drug lords, pushers, who will not hesitate to kill you, the rules of engagement are clear. Make sure that due process and the rule of law will always be upheld. So, wala po tayong pangangamba. Ito lamang mga ibang bansa na sinasabing nagbabiolate daw, wala raw yung ating daw state-sponsored na yung ating mga extrajudicial killing sa ating bansa. There is no basis in this. They are saying this because by saying this, sinasabi nila, o sige, tatahimik na lang kami. Basta't payagan mo ganitong policy natin. Papautangin namin kayo ng pera, pero if you will not change your ways in addressing illegal drugs, we will not give you the money. But they are doing this as a means to make us further subservient and dependent on the kind of help that they would like to give to us. Eh kung ako naman ang Pangulo, what will I say? Well, if this is how you treat us, if you're not treating us as an equal, if you're not trying to understand that our country that is still struggling in order that its people will advance, will not be able to address our problems on the basis of the realities on the ground, on the basis of our urgent needs and our priorities, then what good will our leadership be if we cannot do that? Because sinasabi ng bansa, we should follow their own standards that even they themselves could not follow. So, ito yung sinasabi natin, and I'd like to emphasize this because this is where a lot of criticisms come. But you know, you talk to your families in the Philippines. Even my family, I have members of my family who are involved, who are drug addicts. But they're very happy with this kind of the policy of government. And I'm very happy also that they have seen the light precisely because of this toughness that our president has displayed in the fight against illegal drugs. Another issue that he has, or problem that he has also dedicated himself in solving is the peace problem. Yung ating mga Muslim rebellion, mga communist rebellion sa Pilipinas. He is addressing this, and nakikita mo, there has been a cessation of hostilities and the peace process continues on. Once we will be able to achieve and the fight against corruption, sinasabi niya, he will not hesitate to dismiss even his friends if they're engaged in corrupt practices. And he has called upon our people to make sure na may alam nilang kalokohan or abuse of authority ng isang opisyalis or even a public servant for that matter, slowly as he might be, to expose it, to complain about it, and we will take action on this thing. Unless we're able to address these fundamental problems in our country, no matter how good our plans for economic advancement, no matter how good our plans to make sure that everybody is treated equally, no one will be left out, walang mangyayari sa atin. So I hope that all of you will be able to understand what we are doing in our country, and we hope that we will continue to get your support. You are wherever you are Filipinos, which upon whom our country will also be dependent on. Talk to your families, get all the facts from them, and see how you'll be able to help us in your own small way, even as you're here abroad, by showing the values, by showing the good qualities of our people, our hardworking nature, our friendliness, our ability to work with each other, our peace-loving nature as well, and our firm stand against violation of human rights and even our adherence to the rule of law. So while you're here, I know na tinitiyak nyo rin na kinukumply nyo rin yung batas in your place of environment, as we would hope that our foreigners who go to the Philippines, they will also comply with our laws. So with that, I will end my talk. Napahaba tuloy, sinabi ng Presidente, hindi ako napadada tuloy ako. But I am now open for your questions. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Secretary. Kita nyo naman, meron kaming hinandang speech para sa kanya. Hindi niya binasa. Galing sa puso po ang kanyang mga panalita itong gabing ito sa inyo. At kami nagpapasalamat, Mr. Secretary, na siguro yung mga estudyante niyo sa Richardson School of Law ay namimiss na kayo. Dahil nung pinapakinggan ko kayo, parang naiisip ko yung I'm back in school. At napakalinaw ng mga pag-convey nyo ng mga ideas at ng mga filosofiya po ninyo. So, before we start the question and answer, we'd just like to recognize special guest also, si Mr. Danny Buenafe, dun sa likod nagtatago. ABS-CBN po yan, European Bureau Chief. Ngayon lang nakapunta ng Russia. Matagal na ho yung European Bureau Chief. Matagal ko nang pinaunlakan bumisita dito yan. It took the Secretary and Secretary Lorenzana to bring him out of London para bisitahin tayo. First time ho niya dito. And it's also the first time of the Secretary. Yeah, actually, first time lahat nila except for Yusek Manalo to be here in Moscow. And it's quite historic because in the 40 years that we've had formal relations with Russia, pangatlong Secretary of Foreign Affairs pa lang siyang bumisita. Tsaka pang-unang Defense Secretary ang bumisita dito. 40 years na po tayong relation. Only pala pa. So very historic. We would also like to welcome our viewers on Facebook. Ano ba, Jeff? Madami bang...
Puro like, sir.
Walang...
Puro
Wala
like.
nakasimangot ba?
Puro
Wala.
like tsaka heart.
Pag may nakasimangot eh. Bla-bla. Hindi. Madami ba? Hindi ko nakikita eh. Madami bang... Madami nakangit. Yeah. So, magpapasalamat kami sa Secretary. Napakalinaw po at napaka-moving ng kanyang... So, nalalaman natin kung ano nagmo-motivate sa ating Presidente, sa kanyang mga tauhan. So, we will now open the floor for about, 5 or...
We have around 6 questions.
6 questions. Please say your name and then ask a question. Jeff will be in charge.
Sir,
Si-
the first
Gusto namin i-recognize, no, Mr. Secretary, ang suporta sa Philippine Embassy Program. Volunteers na tumutulong. So nagpapasalamat ako sa kanila. Including, meron kaming magaling na in-establish na Luca Moying and Dr. Dalida dancers. So Doc, siya yung namin. Yan, choreographer, programmer, at sumasayaw. The dance troupe. So magaling mo yan. Hindi ko alam paano napasagot ng Jeff. So, saan naman yung dancers? Nandito ba sila? Tayo nga kayo. Tayo yung cultural group. Mga singer. Ayan, yan sila. Ayun. Sikat na ho yan. They're very well in demand na ho. So we're introducing Philippine culture through food, through dance, through art, to the Russians. Nagugulat ho sila at napakagaling ng ating singing. So our first question, ay naku, favorite ho natin sa TV.
Good evening po, Secretary Yasay. Ang tanong po sa inyo, kung papayag po ba ang Pilipinas sa gusto ng Russia ng long-term po yung pag-acquire ng arms and weapons?
Alam nyo ay marami ho nag-o-offer sa Pilipinas ng arms and weapons. Pero sa atin, we are not really so much concerned about getting arms and weapons, especially so na yung tanong natin, against whom will we be using it, di ba? Wala naman tayong kalaban. But we will certainly need arms and an ability or capacity, especially in the area of law enforcement, para sugpuin natin yung mga criminal elements sa ating bansa. Yung mga Abu Sayyaf, even fast crafts para ipatrol yung ating southern border sa na maraming mga abduction diyan, mga grupo, may mga kidnappers diyan, and then for ransom and so on. So we need these kinds of support from countries. But we're very selective. Kung may offer ang Russia sa atin in this respect, hindi naman tayo magyayabang. We will look at it. If we will need this and they will give us better terms that we can afford, fair, equitable, no strings attached, abay, this is something that we should not say na hindi natin tatanggapin. In the same way, marami ding mga bansa dyan who will continue to offer us arms, even the United States, although only recently, for one reason or another, bumili tayo ng mga assault weapons precisely for this purpose. There was a threat to cancel it for one reason or another. But anyway, we are open to any country that will offer us this opportunity to enable us to beef up our capacity in the fight against non-traditional threats to our security that include terrorism, that include law enforcement, and so on. So, happy tayo dyan kung ang offer nila will be something that is fair and square.
Maraming salamat po.
Si EJ, one of our sturdy supporters dito.
Good evening po, sir. I am Jenny from Mindanao din po. And I am president of one of the Filipino community here in Russia. General po yung tanong ko, sir, para po sa majority ng mga OFWs dito. Kasi po, parang matagal na po na parang walang labor agreement between Philippines and Russia, particularly po sa mga household service workers. And kung pwede po na ma-discuss ninyo ito pagpunta ni Presidente, na makausap ang Presidente ng Russia, para po ma-regulate yung pag-entry at pag-entry ng mga Pilipino papunta dito, mabigyan sila ng karapat-dapat nilang sahod at ma-receive po nila yung benefits na they deserve. Dahil po, nagbabayad po kami ng mataas na halaga, makakuha lang po ng documents na legal kaming manatili sa Russia at makapagtrabaho. Ngunit po yung benefits po namin, like for example, ng SSS na dapat may counterpart yung mga employers namin, wala ko kami nun. So if possible po na ma-discuss po natin yun para in due time, ma-receive din po namin yung karapat-dapat sa amin po. Dahil nagbabayad din po kami ng taxes pag uwi namin ng Pinas.
Napakagandang tanong yan. And you can be sure na lalo-lalo na improving the conditions of our workers here, overseas Filipino workers here in Russia, ay talagang we would like to look into how we can even improve and come up with that kind of an agreement with the Russian authorities to make sure that the welfare of our overseas Filipino workers that they need would be protected and would be assured as well. Mayroon lang tayong mga ibang concerns also along that line dahil I'm not saying that this is the situation in Russia, but there are situations abroad na people like you, especially the lowly workers, mga household workers, they become victims of unscrupulous recruiters. And it is these unscrupulous recruiters that would probably lead them into some kind of a nebulous legal situation na because they're vulnerable, they have been victims of this type of practices, we cannot also expose them in that respect because like in many countries in Asia, even in the Middle East, they stand as illegal workers. And this is what we are also trying to address. We might be jumping into from the frying pan to the fire by coming up with this kind of an agreement when in fact by many of our workers in some situations abroad are very vulnerable because of that issue of whether or not they are entitled to the appropriate visas that they might have that will enable them to work. But then again, I know that many of you here are professionals. There are some household workers here also, but rest assured that the intention of government is always to protect you. That is the principal role, in fact, one of the principal or key functions of the Department of Foreign Affairs, in addition to other support agencies or other departments of government like the Department of Labor and POEE. We have, for instance, in the Department of Foreign Affairs, a fund that is dedicated to assist our nationals abroad if they should have any problems. But I will pursue, in line with your question, how we can improve the conditions of our workers here and see if we can forge some kind of agreement that will be signed when President Duterte will be here along that line.
Mr. Secretary, over here po.
Ben.
Ginagalang po na kalihim sa ugnayan panlabas, Sir Yasay. Ang aking katanungan po ay patungkol po sa mga pangangailangan.
Kandilabay, Bicol. Introduce your...
Taga Bicol po ako. Sorsogon po, tagapagtatag ng samahan ng mga Bicolano rito. At naging pangulo rin po ng pinakaunang samahan ng mga Pilipino, yung FAR Association in Russia na itinayo po natin noong 1997. Kababayan ko po si Sir King, Bicolano rin po. Bali po, sa usaping pang OFW po ang tanungan, noong 2011 po ay inumpisahan ko yung resolution na bigyan po ng alalay ang mga kababayan natin, kasama na rin ako, na yung UWA po ay pumupunta rito at napagbigyan naman po tayo. Hanggang taon-taon po ay nagre-request po tayo, halos lagi pong kaaway po ang Consular Jeff Valdez po, Consul Jeff Valdez. Kakampi. So, sinisettle po natin na lagi taon-taon ay napupunta po rito ang OWA, SSS, Metrobank as accredited bank to collect SSS. Pati na rin po yung remittance ay na-establish na rin po natin ito. Pero naririyan po ang embassy lagi nakaalalay po sa atin. Ang tanong ko po kalihim ay may pag-asa po ba na maiwasan na ang taon-taon na lang na resolution or liham na papuntahin dito ang kinatawa ng SSS, OWA, or Polo Labor Attaché. Magkaroon na po tayo dito ng permanenteng opisina po o tanggapan nila. Yun lang po. Sa panahon po ng Pangulong Duterte, umaasa po kami ng pagbabago na maganap po ito dito.
Okay.
Salamat po.
Ang pagkakalam ko ngayon, ang total number of Filipinos na nandito sa Russia would be about 5,000. I do not know how many of that 5,000 are working and where they're working. Baka mayroon pa rin sa Siberia, no? May nabalitaan ko, no? As far as Siberia, mayroon ganun. Alam nyo yung pagbubukas ng, let's say, offices of government dito, like SSS, OWA, or some related agencies in order to respond quickly and to service the needs of our people is something that will have also to be viable. No? Maybe at this point in time, not all of these agencies can come, but we can set up a system. For instance, yung sinasabi mong SSS, maybe if there is a way, mayroon man tayong mga internet or other forms of linking countries nearby where we have these kinds of offices. Meron ba tayo niyan sa London?
We have been London,
Yeah.
but they're very busy in London.
Yeah.
We've been asking for them to come.
Yes.
They can't spare them.
But you've asked a very legitimate question. You've expressed a very legitimate concern. This is something that I would be very happy to bring out to our people in the Philippines, our officials concerned, lalo na yung sa OWA, no? The Department of Labor. Even SSS, yung chairman ng SSS ngayon ay kaibigan ko rin, kilala ko. And I will mention this to him and see how the concerns that you've expressed can be effectively and expeditiously addressed. But in the meantime, let's see whether all of these are really viable. But rest assured, we will not drag our feet on this question. I will have some ready answers for you, and hopefully when President Duterte will be here by March or April, this concern will have been addressed already.
Sir, thank you for this great opportunity to ask this question. But this might concern our cooperative as my name is Jace, Secretary Spokesperson of Atin to Cooperative here in Russia. So, kami po ay isang kooperatiba dito sa bansang ito. Meron kaming branch sa Pilipinas. Pero gusto ko lang pong malaman kung may mga plano ba kayo para sa mga cooperative outside Philippines. Because we might be one for now, but maybe after 2 to 3 years, there's a lot of cooperative that are willing to help Filipinos outside the Philippines. Thank you very much po.
I don't want to be hypocritical in answering that question because quite frankly, the Department of Foreign Affairs does not have any. And I'll be as straightforward to you on that. And this is the first time I'm hearing it. I'm not saying that that is not necessary. This is something that we certainly have to look into. Again, the viability of cooperatives here, where you have only about 5,000 people or Filipinos, can also be something that we may want to inquire into more thoroughly to make sure that when we establish cooperatives here and we want to expand on that, it will be able to serve the purpose for which they would be established. But then again, I do not know, mayroon pa tayong link with any government agency that is supposed to address this kind of concerns sa Department of Foreign Affairs? Mayroon ba tayong...
There's a cooperative law, but it's only for the Philippines.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
in government,
Can I ask you a question? Itong cooperative na na-establish nyo rito sa Russia, no? Ilan ito? How many members do you have? And what is the
We have-
purpose of this cooperative?
For now, we have 60 members here in Russia. We have 30 members or more in the Philippines based in Tarlac.
Okay, so you're not, of course, concerned about those in Tarlac because that can be addressed there. But I am more concerned about the the thrust of your question as it impacts on the cooperatives here.
If gusto ko lang po sana malaman kung mayroong mga legal support na mabibigay ang Department of Foreign Affairs sa mga naging membro namin na, bilang kooperatiba dito sa Moscow na umuwi na Pilipinas na mayroong mga naiwanang damages from us. Because we're accredited cooperative registered in CBI po.
Damages
Mga utang po, parang ganon.
sa Pilipinas?
Dito po, sa Russia.
Okay. Mayroon tayong assistance to national funds, no, na maybe this is something na pwede nating titignan kung we can legally use it for that kind of purpose. But normally, itong ating mga assistance for nationals ay mga exigencies ito, mga emergency cases ito. Mayroon nga tayong legal fund. No? If you get into legal difficulties, the Department of Foreign Affairs can be able to assist you for if you need a lawyer under this emergency situation that one is confronted, we will respond right away. Kung you had been, let's say, displaced sa trabaho nyo dahil because of some economic conditions dito, kagaya nangyayari sa Middle East na bumagsak ang presyo ng langis, ay kailangan na nag-retrench yung mga companies doon. We have this kind of assistance and can readily respond. But I'm not too sure dito sa mga private debts nyo, kung pwede, magamit baka mamaya, makawa audit pa tayo dito But then again, alam mo, gusto ko yung attitude mo, and I like also your leadership along this line. Maybe it's about time that you sit down and then organize your thoughts on this one. If you can share with us your thoughts, your suggestions, your recommendations on how we would be able to strengthen the cooperatives that you're building here, we'd be happy to look into that. So why don't you communicate with me more at length on this type of concern that you're expressing? Okay. Yeah.
Magandang gabi po. Ako po pala si Alvin David from one of the organization here. Sa mga magkakaibigan at barkada po. Nais ko lang po sanang itanong yung about sa agreement po ng Russia and Pilipinas. If kung po may establish po ang pagiging ang mga working po dito ng Pilipino or being OFW po, hindi po ba maapektuhan kaming mga nandirito na po sa pag totally po illegal ang pagbibisa dito, or bali kung mag-hire po sila ng directly from the Philippines as an OFW going to here in Moscow, hindi po ba kami maapektuhan ng mga matatagal na po dito?
Palagay ko naman siguro hindi, because I think whatever agreements that we would have, kasama ho kayo sa pinoproteksyonan natin in this agreement. Hindi naman ito agreement lamang na para makapag-recruit pa tayo na marami sa Pilipinas at naiit sa puwera kayo. We have to look at these types of initiatives na natutulungan natin ang lahat. Lalo-lalo na kayo na nandito na. The priority must be given to you who are already here.
Secretary, last question from the Davao group.
Good evening po, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Evangeline De Velos from the president na mag-o-open siya ng OFW bank dito anywhere. So the question is, do you have any plan here in Russia, and when it will that will be implemented? Thank you.
I'm hearing this for the first time about putting up an OFW bank. That's a good idea, but I would like to see specifically kung anong magiging struktura nito, anong magiging programa nito, anong magiging mechanics nito. Dahil mayroon kayong special concerns kung ang problema nyo is to come up with a bank para mapagutangan nyo, again, that's one. Or para to assist you in your remittances.
May cooperative utang.
Pwede gano'n, di ba? Pero yung OFW bank specifically, gusto kong sasabihin sa inyo, mayroong plano yung ating Pangulo and he has asked us to come up with a thorough study on this dahil talagang pag-aaralan natin ng gusto na mag-put up ng one consolidated department that is dedicated to OFWs. Kung lahat ng pangangailangan ng OFWs, isang departamento na lang, maging one-stop shop na lang kayo. Ayaw ko kung makasama doon, pati pa yung sistema ng sinasabi mong OFW Bank o baka yung cooperatives na lang idaan natin. No? But pinapag-aralan po ito. Ang objektibo nito ay para titiyakin na lahat ng mga problema ninyo ay ma-address kaagad natin sa pinakamabilis na paraan.
Actually, sir, yung problem namin is yung remittances. Kasi kung minsan po, isa lang po, like for example, yung Unistream. Unistream, ang rate po sa Pilipinas is 49 more than. So minsan po, depende po dito, wala siyang stable na ano. Pag nagre-reklamo kami, tinataas din nila ng rate. Ginagawa nilang 48. So yun po ang gusto namin kwan. Para mas madali po yung kwan namin sa Pilipinas, yung pagpadala, yung remittance, sir.
Si Secretary Lawrence Sana.
When we were in, nung magta-travel kami nila Presidente sometime last month ba, yung Philippine Postal Savings Bank, yun ang gusto nilang i-convert into OFW Bank.
Ayun.
Isa ito sa agenda bukas sa agenda sa cabinet meeting.
Okay. O yun. Titignan natin. Okay. Alright. Salamat, Secretary Lawrence Sana.
So we have no more questions. So before we end, probably
meron pa isa.
May isa pa.
Akala ko.
Nahiya na? Hindi, okay lang daw, sabi ni Secretary.
Sige.
Hindi, huwag ka may... Si Rhea ba yan? Rhea, bagong kasal yan. So before we end... Dumudungo lang. We'd just like to ask the Secretary to probably say his last word. Sir, maybe just a few last words before we end.
Yeah. Alam mo, I would hope you would help us pray na yung aming trip dito sa Russia will be very successful. As I told you kanina, ang primary reason for us to be here is to pave the way for the visit of our President here. Alam ko gusto niya rin kayong makita. Alam mo, ang style ng ating Presidente is wherever he goes, first thing he does, straight from the plane, didiretso siya sa Filipino community para kausapin kayo. So, sana naman, by the time makakarating sa dito, the weather will not be as cold as ngayon. Nangangatog pa yung tuhod ko. Sabi nga nila, pinakamaganda raw ay May. Pero ewan ko, let's see if it's possible for him to be here earlier. And the most important thing is, pag-uusapan namin, I'll have a meeting with my counterpart, si Foreign Minister of Russia na si Lavrov, no? Sergey Lavrov. Para titignan natin kung ano yung mga mahalagang agreements na pwede nating maisulong para mapirmahan. I'm sure principal of which will be concerning also most of you who are here along the lines of kasama na yan sa commercial relationship and transactions, so even trade relationship. Our best services abroad that we export would be human services. And this is something that we are very proud of. No? So yun ang titignan natin. I hope that you will continue to pray for our success on this trip and whatever support that you can give us, even morally. I would hope na you continue to have a closer dialogue with our embassy here. make suggestions on how you think we can improve our services to you. And in the same way, our embassy staff and officials will also be able to share with you their plans in making your stay here and your work here also beneficial, and at the same time attending to your needs as they would come about as fast as we would like to. So yan ang what I am going to say for now, and I know that I'll just be here for bukas, after tomorrow, alis na kami. Babalik na kami sa Pilipinas. Dahil pabilisan talaga ito. But we've lined up a lot of plans already in our meeting, mga points of discussions. And again, these are all done to make sure that our relationship with Russia will be stronger, which will also result to your improvement of your conditions, better conditions of your work, along the line of signing relevant agreements for that purpose. So thank you again for this opportunity. And balita ko gusto niyo raw mag-selfie.
Maraming salamat, Secretary.
So,
Pinractice natin ito by groups. Unahin natin yung 3 times 9 representatives ng mga registered organizations. Punta na sa harap lahat. Dito ang cameras, ang picture takers.
Yes. Si Secretary there, si Mrs. Yasay, Mrs. Corazana, put 6 chairs down.
Wala kong mobility, tali. Nakalive pa rin ba? Nakalive pa rin?
Sir.
Sing na tayo.
Pwede mo yung uso.
Tapos na eh.
Hindi, okay. May meeting ka? Okay mo to.
Meron ba tayo Okay. Isang ganito
Okay, one more.
Okay, isang wala.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Ang susunod, yung kalahati ng nanalo ng raffle sa dalo. First 20.
Nagtra-transfer kayo.
Kalahati muna.
Pwede kang gumalaw.
Huwag niyo halangan yung official Okay. Yung mga ibang individual yung mga ibang nakakuha ng slot sa Facebook.
Ito na lang yan mo.
Ay, sa sarap na.
Thank you. Kung hindi pa po nakasama sa picture na individual, sa aming Facebook account, pakisama na po doon. Wala na po. Doble na lang.
Nakadoble yung iba, doble. Oh, wala ka palang tanong eh. Akala ko nagtatanong ka eh.
Okay po,
Okay, Tigong.
And last but not the least, ang ating mga cultural members ng cultural group, the dancers, the choir, photographers, mga nagtatrabaho for the embassy na walang bayad din.
Volunteer siya, mga volunteer.
Excuse lang po, parang awa niyo na po. Thank you. 1, 2. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff, any more? No more? Thank you.
That's it?
That's it. That's it.
Sir, may request yung UNTV daw.
Yung aming po media.
Okay, media.
Media.
Hindi mo ba naman sa inyo yung
Channel 5.
Thank you, thank you po.
Maraming salamat po.
Natin na. Madami sila dito. Ayan.
Libro na daw kami.
Base sila dito.
Okay, Digong.
Jeff. Hey.
Okay na po, sir.
Thank you very much.
Maraming pong salamat.
Okay na.
Finish na, sir.
May ano ba?
Wait. Thank you. Okay.